So, Young Pharaoh says Jesus is gay. Yeah, what's going on, party people? The place to be. I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city, Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? Here we are, Tuesday. We're here in this, dystopian apocalypse. You know what I mean? Of the new year, all sorts of craziness is coming, but we're still here to defend the gospel, and of course, who better to do that with than one half of the EPMD of Urban Apologetics, one Rex, the other destroyers. Of course, I'm talking about Mr. True ID himself, Adam Coleman. What's going on, sir?
Hey, what's going on, bro? We still here, man.
Still here,
man. We on the 2020 extended play version. You know what I'm saying?
But the deluxe version.
yeah,
the long player.
right. Editors. Oh, director's cut. That's what
right. Director's cut. It's wild, man.
But we here though. We are here, man.
We are here, man. Let me say what's up to the people. We got Bodega Lady D New in the building. We got Surreal Finesse. We got my boy Joseph. What's going on, Joe? We got Carl. Of course, we got the indelible, the incomparable Nate 2D2.
Of course.
We got Exodus, Life Change, King Charles. Yeah, man. Please tell a friend to tell a friend that we're here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please share the link. You know what I mean? Also, if you can't, please share the link. And also, if you want to show your love to your boy, PayPal, especially since tomorrow is my birthday. So,
hey, for real, bro?
Yes.
Hey, that's all right, man. That's all right. Happy birthday.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
You know what I mean? So if you feel, the spirit move you in that capacity, feel free. We take the kind that jingles, but we also take what folds. Right, as it, man, we got SOC in the building. We got CMB in the building. We got Terrence Jones. Got nothing but illustrious people up in the chat.
Right.
So we are here. As we are urban apologists, and we're here to defend the gospel whenever someone has a critique or goes at the Bible. And, one of the people that really enjoys doing that is Young Pharaoh. And for those who will listen now and later, there is no personal beef with this gentleman. We've never spoke. We've never been in the same room. But, he does say, oh, thank you. Thank you, Carl Anthony. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
There you go.
So, so when anytime... And of course, he's free to critique the Bible as much as he likes, just like we are free to have a rebuttal to the critique that he has.
Sure.
And we've done one before about the 144,000, and got some very interesting commentary based on that. I don't know about you, Adam, but I never knew that there was a direct correlation between the 144,000 and high calorie intake, right? Because
right.
The fat jokes was running amok, boy.
It was live, man. It was live out there, man.
Right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's funny because that stuff right there. I mean, those are just ad hominems, man. Those are the kind of things that let you know that people don't have a serious response. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like, when all else fails, just be like, your mother or your fat.
right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, they can't help it, man. They can't help it. But you know what, man, what was dope? It's like you said. I mean, clearly, I mean, there's definitely no beef, as far as Young Pharaoh is concerned. I mean, why would we beef with the guy? You know what I mean? There would be no benefit for us to do that. But with that being said, I think that for so long, these dudes have gotten over. You know what I'm saying? I'm just talking mega reckless about Christianity. You know what I'm saying? Mega reckless. And I mean, just getting away with it. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's to the point where, I think that they're just not accustomed to people giving like meaningful pushback, beyond just, my grandma said, or just have faith in Christ or something like that. I mean, you know what I mean? Like they're not used to this, man.
Right.
And so I think that this is new for everybody. You know what I mean? But this is what needs to happen, because again, they've been getting over for a while, bro. They've been getting over for a while, and it's a new day. It's a new day.
No, you're right.
No more, man.
Absolutely. And what SOC says here, he says, when people make fat jokes as a rebuttal, it means that the arguments are starving. Like that. That's what you did there. Bars. Nice.
That's good.
But so we're gonna continue now that we know that we've ruffled some feathers.
Yeah.
That's actually the wrong thing they should have did to us.
Oh yeah, it's the worst thing to do.
Let us know that,
Let me give you the cheat code. If you want us to leave your boy alone, don't come at us with some old foods. You can come at us with regular critiques or whatever response. That's fine. But if you're gonna act ignorant about it, that's just gonna make us do it even more. That's just how that works. That's exactly how that works. So you know what I mean? I'm sharing. Let me share this right quick so everybody can hop in. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, man, this is what we do. Y'all know what it is. And I hope Young Pharaoh watch this. But I mean, I have to say this, man. Now I'm gonna say this on your channel.
That's wow, great. I don't like how you starting off already, but go ahead.
I'm gonna say this on your channel, you know what I mean? But you know what, man? One thing I thought about is in some ways, the rise of Young Pharaoh is an indictment of, just, I don't want to say our community, but it's like, man, you know what? I put it this way. It's a reminder. It's the rise of Young Pharaoh in terms of his notoriety and all that kind of stuff. It's a testament to his hard work. You can't take anything from him. He puts out a lot of videos. He's very entertaining.
That's true. Very savvy. He's very internet savvy. Absolutely.
Yeah, very internet savvy. Can't take that from him. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of the information, the fact that people actually entertain this stuff and take him seriously, I think that's a testament to how much work really needs to be done in our community, man. Because there's really, it's a bad look for all of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, people taking him seriously is a bad look for our whole community, because the man is beyond, nonsensical with his argumentation. So as we'll see here in a minute, and it's not even a diss, man. I'm just saying that we really, as a community, we need to come up to where we should be in a situation in our community to where people like Young Pharaoh can't thrive because there's no tolerance for misinformation. I'm saying, like, right now, the tolerance level for misinformation is too high in our community. You know what I'm saying? And it allows for people like him.
And people like me and yourself are going to really, wow. Phil Fox.
Phil Feezy.
Oh my God. $1 for every year you've been on this earth. You're a funny guy.
Oh, what you said? What now?
You said $1 for every year you have been on this earth. You put $100.
Hey, Phil. Hey, I'm going live right after this.
Oh man, Phil Fox.
I'm getting over here in 5 minutes. I'm going live on my channel. Yeah.
Oh man, that's amazing. That's amazing.
That's funny, man.
But yeah, so be that for what you said, we're going to continue because there is a lot of people who do listen to this gentleman, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, because he has a large segment of people's ear. And people listen to what he has to say, and that's why we have to deal with it, because it's false information, and we have to contend with that. So
yeah, we got to do it, man. We got to.
So so the video in question, Young Pharaoh was speaking about how Jesus is a homosexual pedophile based on a very specific relationship, and we're about to play the video. And of course, we'll share our thoughts on this video. So,
all right. Yeah, excuse me for looking down. It's sketching down a few last second notes here.
It's all good. Yeah. Warrior Woman, she's in the future. She lives down under, so it's already Wednesday for her. So, in her world, it is my birthday. So, happy birthday! Thank you. Wow, appreciate it.
Wow, in the building. All right, so cool. You ready to cue it up?
Let's get it.
All right. Let me make sure I got. Give me 1 second. I forgot to skip the intro. Actually, no, he just goes right into it, so I'll just play it. All right. Probably would be helpful if I share
your screen. Yeah.
That would be a good idea.
That'd be stunning. All right.
All right.
Great.
Here we go. Yeah, so just let me know when to stop.
Okay.
1550, Francesco Calgango, a citizen of Venice, was investigated by the Inquisition for making the heretical claim that Saint John was Christ's catamite, which means a boy or young man in a pederistic sexual relationship with an older man. Let's keep it moving. See? Gotta make sure I'm clear. We gotta run through this. Now, these is two historical entities who have been tried, okay, for claiming after coming to the understanding of the pedophile relationship between Jesus and John. Okay? This is motherfucking historical doctrine. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear what I nigga opinion. Nigga, this is history. Now let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. See? Let's keep it moving. Many modern scholars have expressed belief that Jesus and his beloved disciple, okay, shared an erotic physical relationship. They include Hugh Montefiore, Robert Williams, Sled Van Tilburg, John McNeil, Roland McCleary, Robert E. Goss, and James Neal. See? So now these are modern day scholars who still feel the same way that I feel about this relationship between Jesus and John. Now, a thorough analysis is included in this book titled The Man Jesus Loved, Homoerotic Narratives from the New Testament. Go get this motherfucking book. Go get this motherfucking book. Matter of fact, I thought it popped up in this slide. Hold up. Let me pull it up. Because I thought I had it in this slide for you. Hold up. Hold up. I got you right now. I got y'all right now. Let's go. Here we go. Right here. Boop. Let me show y'all the book. Go get it off Amazon. The Man Jesus Loved. Okay? Here we go. The Man Jesus Loved. Let me put it right here for you. Bam. Let me throw that up in there. Let me throw that up in there. I want y'all to see it. Go get this book off Amazon and read it your motherfucking self. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. By Theodore Jennings. Go get it. The Man Jesus Loved. Go get it. Go get it. Go get it. That's all I'm going to say. Go get the book and read the motherfucker for yourself. Now, biblical theology professor at Chicago Theology Summary. That's who Theodore Jennings is. Now, he finds the evidence inconclusive as to whether the beloved whether the beloved disciple was John, but it leaves no doubt that Jesus had a male lover. Okay? Now, let's keep it moving. Let's read what he had to say about Jesus. He said in his book on page 34, a close reading of the text, which the beloved disciple appears, supports the hypothesis that the relationship between him and Jesus may be understood as that of lovers. As it happens, both Jesus and the beloved are males, meaning that their relationship may be said to be, in modern terms, a homosexual relationship, nigga. And so the conclusion of this book is that it is thought to be that the homosexual lover of Jesus is John. But if it is not John, it is for sure another man. See? So there is no getting around that. There is no getting around that. Go get the book. Go get the motherfucking book. Go on Amazon right now, order the motherfucking book, and take that bitch to church and tell your pastor to read that. Okay? Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. See? 12th century image shows Jesus coaxing John. Now watch this. One of the earliest images of Jesus and John together is a little known 12th century miniature titled The Calling of St. John. It depicts two scenes. Jesus coaxing the disciple John to leave his female bride and follow him, and John resting his head on Jesus's chest. Jesus cups the chin of his beloved, an artistic convention used to indicate romantic intimacy. The Latin text means get up, leave the breast of your bride, and rest on your breast. Rest on the breast of your Lord Jesus. See? Now look. Now you see him coaxing John chin? Now when I go to the next slide, I'm going to show you a pedophile Greek artwork of a grown man coaxing a little boy chin. See? Now here's the thing. What kind of nigga gonna convince you to leave your woman to follow him? Huh? What kind of nigga gonna convince you to leave your motherfucking woman to follow him? Jesus didn't motherfucking seduce John. Jesus didn't motherfucking seduce John. I wish a nigga would come up in this motherfucker over here, in my motherfucking crib over here, talk about come up off the breast of your woman and follow me, your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Nigga, please. You better go, nigga. You in the wrong side of motherfucking town, Sheriff. You on the wrong side of motherfucking town, Sheriff. Now look. I want y'all to pay attention to whatchamacallit, the artistic suggestion, which indicates romantic intimacy, which is Jesus coaxing John's chin. Because as I go here to ancient Greece, right, and I show the pedophile artwork, you see the grown man coaxing the little boy chin, and he grabbing a little boy penis. Now look at the way
you can pause this right here.
Grabbing on John.
Pause.
He grabbing on John the same way the Greek freak is.
You can pause that right there. So, yeah, it's crazy, but
yeah. Respect to D New with the strong language warning.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, this is definitely not a family video, but you need to hear. You have to understand, this man is extremely well known within the conscious community, and they really listen to his teachings. Like, you might think it's hilarious and ridiculous. A lot of people, thousands of people, do not. Hundreds of thousands at that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
But
I think he's up to 100. I'm certain he's over 100,000 as far as
he's last time I checked, 537,000 subs.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, and you know, it was fascinating. Again, now I mean, there's a couple different sides of this. I'm not trying to repeat myself, but like there's a skill set to building a platform. You know what I'm saying? And I think that he does certain things very well in terms of the skill set of building a platform. But nevertheless, again, that's just a testament, you know what I'm saying, to how much work needs to be done. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's 500,000 people out here who are being deceived by this young man. You know what I'm saying? And this man clearly, I'm not going to speak as to his level of intellect, but he leaves much to be desired from an argumentation standpoint. Like, he's not sharing information. I mean, there's a reason why they call him Young Pseudo. There's a reason for that. You know what I'm saying? And so, anyway, let's get to work, man. We got
right. So as we said earlier on, just so you understand why we're doing this, because there's been comments from the previous video, oh, you guys are clout chasing, you're this, that, and the other. Well, no, this is why we're doing it. It's in 2 Corinthians 10:5. And it says, we destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God and take every thought captive to obey Christ. But as much as I love the ESV, I actually like how the King James renders this. And it says, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing it into captivity, every thought to the obedience of Christ. This is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing this, because there's these imaginations that's just running wild and rampant, and people are taking it as if this is the correct way to see God's word. Us as disciples of Jesus, we have to deal with this. We have to cast down these imaginations, these lofty arguments that are here to soil and stain the gospel. So as believers, we have to address this. I don't know if you want to add.
Well, yeah, and the other side of it is too, is that by dealing with these objections, you know, from him, it gives us an occasion to teach people how to engage folks who may be in their family, they might be, you know, on their job, among their friend circle or whatever. Like, it's not even just about Young Pharaoh. It's not about Young Pharaoh. You know what I'm saying? Really what it's about is we want to teach people. And actually, we've said this all the way going back to our initial breakdowns of the debate, you know, that we had, you know, way back. You know, we want to show people like how to engage this stuff. It's not just about us giving people answers, but how do we think through these things? That's what's really most important. You know?
Right. So, and these are the two, two pictures that he shows. So one is a portrait. The other one is actually painted, I think, on a vase. The one on the left is a pederastic courtship. the up and down gesture, detail from attic, black figure. This is from 530 BC, 520 BC, found in Athens. So this is 6th century. Whereas this portrait here is the calling of St. John. A 12th century miniature shows Jesus coaxing John away from his bride and John resting his head on Jesus' chest. The Latin text means, get up, leave the breast of your bride and the rest on the breast of your Lord Jesus. So first of all, this is a 12th century portrait, right? This is, you would not consider this a primary source, right? The life of times of Jesus Christ happened in the 1st century. So this is 1200 years after the fact.
Well, and here's why that's significant. I'm glad you mentioned, I was going to mention on my slide as well, but we'll just dive in now. I mean, again, when we're thinking about how to engage these kinds of questions and objections, right? One of the things you always want to look out for is timelines. You want to think about what's the timeline of this person's source, and is it really in proximity to the New Testament or whatever, you know what I'm saying, such that they can make a case. And so what I mean by that is, if you're talking about 12th century, I mean, 1200 years after Christianity is established, I mean, that's far too late. Far, we're like at least 1100 years too late to be making any kind of claims about, what, Christianity was founded on, or, the character of Jesus and his activities based upon this later source, especially when you don't have some sort of preceding evidence of that. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just far too late. But the fact that he doesn't understand, like, he really believes that this is evidence. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that he doesn't understand that a 12th century portrait doesn't have anything to do with 1st century writings, and you can't make conclusions or inferences about a 12th century portrait that takes you directly to, what they were believing and standing on in the 1st century, or what they were saying about Jesus in the 1st century. The fact that he doesn't understand that says a lot about his thought process. Like, he's clearly not dealing with these things from a standpoint of a scholar, like, or in a scholarly way. And I'm not trying to claim like I'm some sort of super scholar or anything like that. I'm just saying that, he's not engaging this information from a critical lens. This is not just Christians talking. We're just talking about how to deal with history. I don't care what your historical claim is. You 1200 years too late. I mean, that's not evidence, B. That's not, so anyway, I'm gonna let you go ahead.
And not only is he doing that, but he's trying to formulate a correlation between the 6th century pederistic courtship with the calling of St. John. Mm-hmm. And when people do this, and you see this done a lot in the conscious community, and there's a term for this. In historical analysis, biblical criticism, and comparative mythology, parallel mania refers to a phenomenon, mania, where authors perceive apparent similarities and construct parallels and analogies without historical basis. This is from S. Sandomir, Parallelomania, Journal of Biblical Literature. Yeah. So this is a classic case of parallelomania, that these things in some way, shape, or form have some sort of similarity. Therefore, there is a airtight correlation between these two things.
And what I hadn't really thought about till you just said that, but I think what's going on is when you have people who don't really have depth of historical knowledge, then, I just say in this case history, but it could be anything else, then I think what happens is they fill in the gaps of their knowledge with assumptions, conjecture, poorly pieced together logic, things like that. Like, they have to fill in the gaps with something because they don't have the knowledge to connect all the dots. And so you're right. I mean, when you're dealing with, like, just because, like, say you're looking at two paintings from two different eras or whatever, just because A has a similarity to B, painting A has a similarity to painting B, doesn't mean that painting B came from A. Right. You know what I mean? Anybody who studied art history will tell you that. Right now in America, there's all different kinds of genres of art. And each of those genres have different conventions. They have different, themes and things of that nature. Like right now. So when it comes to, art history, and I've taken art history, but when it comes to art history, you can't just say, well, this looks like that. And so therefore they're communicating the same things. You deal with vastly different cultures. But I think when you're dealing with guys like Young Pharaoh, they assume that, okay, well, white people, like white people are like monolithic in some sense or another. Like he's not dealing with the nuances from generation to generation. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So let's continue watching this video. And again, keep in mind that this man, his bad videos are like 18 to 20,000 views.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that do poorly. So this is a man that many hundreds of thousands of people listen to. So yeah, if you can share your screen. Actually, I guess I got.
You know what? Can I share my my slide right quick?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, because I'm knock out a couple of points and then I think it'll
this is what we're here for.
Yeah, this is what we're here for. Just real quick, because we already covered some of the stuff that I wanted to touch on that point, but there's a few more things I wanted to say about that. So what am I doing here? Oh, yeah. I gotta hit the share button.
To the savvy budgeteer.
The savvy budgeteer?
Yeah, that's a friend of ours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Junior McDonald, Tiffany, good to see you guys. Roxby in the building. What up? What up? All right, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, there's actually another portion, and maybe we'll do this another day, but there's another portion where he's trying to justify, this argument that he's making about the paintings, and he using the analogy of like, if you're taking a photo or something like that and your homeboy is looking suspect, you wouldn't let that slide, basically. You know what I'm saying? And, that's just a false analogy. I kind of made a note of it. Maybe we'll come back later, but it's a false analogy because it's not like Jesus posing for like the 12th century portrait or something like that, right? Jesus is, the person who's, creating this in the 12th century is not looking at a photo or, Jesus not posing for this, this portrait. So where is this image coming from? And, this guy, I have it there at the last, my last point. Actually, it's, this is just an interpretation of an artist, right? And I think he's connecting the dots between some idiosyncratic interpretation of an artist in the 12th century and what he believes about Jesus, who lived in the first century. You know what I'm saying? And the earliest, accounts, i.e. the New Testament, are written in the first century. And again, that's just ridiculously hasty. And it's actually kind of shocking that somebody, it's kind of wild that he doesn't see that. But why should the individual interpretation of Jesus from the 12th century dictate the historical understanding of somebody who lived in the first century? You know what I'm saying? So not only do you have a time gap, but you also have this gap between perspectives. I'm saying, like, this artist is not intending to communicate a historical fact. You know what I'm saying? He's making a painting for whatever reason and putting whatever spin he wants on it. It's not necessarily grounded in something tangible from the text or whatever, which actually leads me to another point too, is that, and this one thing I see pretty often with these guys, not just with Pharaoh, but I've seen it with others as well, where they will take paintings or sculptures or whatever of Jesus or whatever, and they try to make some sort of critique against Christian theology. But when it comes to Christianity, Christian theology is contained in the scriptures. Like, if you're gonna make a critique, then go to the text. You know what I'm saying, or you can go, even if you're going to go through, like, say, the church fathers or whatever, you're going to go to the text and say, okay, well, here's what they've stated about X, and then you're going to critique that. But by and large, Christian theology is not carried, if you will, through art. You know what I'm saying? Now, it may be portrayed in some ways, you know what I'm saying, like, in some instances, but if you really want to do damage to the Christian worldview, if you really want to undercut it, then you need to deal with the doctrine. You know what I'm saying? You can't just make conjecture about, because anybody could draw a painting. Right. Anybody could do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I could draw a painting right now of young Pharaoh doing something, I don't know, doing something that he would object to or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I could draw a painting of him right now. Does that make it factual? Does that mean that it's something that should be, that I've drawn an accurate portrayal of him? Of course not. You know what I'm saying? I would need to go to some sources of information that are veridical, that are, reflective of the historical reality of him as a person, and then draw some conclusions from there. So they're just off base when they go the art route. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at just the history of Christianity, that's not where, our theology is contained, if you will. You know what I'm saying? If you want to go to the source and start from there. And then we already talked about some of these other points, the evidence of, and the other video talked about the 16th century. That's just far too late. So, it's just, these guys are all over the place, man. They don't, it's like, they don't know enough about the Christian worldview to even know where to go to find the information that they really should be, launching their critiques at. You know what I'm saying? So therefore they go to these other routes, i.e. The artistry and stuff. So there we go.
So let's go back to his video.
All right, my bad.
And let's listen to more of Young Pharaoh as he pontificates on his claims of Jesus being homosexual.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
All right.
Been on the little boy. See, they say a picture is worth 1,000 motherfucking words. They say a picture is worth 1,000 motherfucking words. You see?
Does that include cuss words? Because I mean, I feel like the stakes should be higher for the cuss words. I mean,
no,
I don't know, but he's out of control right now. All right, here we go.
The same motherfuckers that created that Greco-Roman artwork is the same motherfuckers that drew that created that painting of Jesus. See?
All right, you know what? I hate to stop it there, but see that you saw that though?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I just said.
Yep.
He just said the same mother bleepers who painted the Roman jank.
The same people, right?
The painting of Jesus. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, he has a limited. He doesn't understand that you're dealing with centuries of, you know, like communities that are centuries apart and have different, you know, different artistic expressions. He's treating them all the same, and that's indicative of somebody who doesn't have the historical wherewithal to understand the nuances between cultures and across time.
And culture changes across time. Culture changes across time. Language, how we express things. I mean, it's just so much can change. I mean, look what 1 year did to us.
Right.
Look what 2020 did to us.
Right.
We're so much different now than we was in 1919. You know what I mean? So it's crazy.
If you were to travel back in time, let's say back to the 60s, and you were to say to somebody, you know, Black Lives Matter, they would agree with you, but they wouldn't have the cultural context to understand the weight behind that phrase. They don't know what's really behind that phrase. Like there's something going on right now in the culture that adds meaning to those words that they could understand what the words mean. They understand the definitional meaning of those words back in the 60s, but they wouldn't understand the cultural meaning. You see what I'm saying? And so again, like you said, cultures change over time. But he's just treating them all like willy-nilly, as if, you know, like he just said, those are the same, and these are the same, blah, blah, blah. No, they're not the same. They're white.
Nowhere near.
Apart. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, 3rd or 4th century Greece is a, you know, or whatever century Greece that, you know, supposed to be taken from, is a very different place than, like, you know, 12th century England or something like that. They're not the same. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I mean, he literally just made my point right there.
Yep.
All right.
Who's the Catholic Church? The Roman Catholic Church. The main motherfuckers accused of pedophilia. See? The main motherfuckers that's accused of pedophilia. Because the whole motherfucking religion promotes pedophilia. Period. I done did too many videos on this. I'm not about to go down that road now. Go watch the other video. See? It's the same shit. So the same nigga that had homosexual intent when he drew that shit on that Greek base is the same nigga that had homosexual intent when he drew that motherfucking picture of Jesus and John. Ain't nobody about to play with y'all today. Let's keep it moving. Look. Now here's another picture of Jesus and John. See? And then you see the motherfucking Catholic priest with the choir boy. This is where they get it from. This is where they get the blueprint from. So you niggas is wondering why all of these motherfuckers is molesting these motherfuckers in these churches, and why these kids is being, specifically boys, okay, women too, but specifically boys is being targeted in these churches. It get deeper than what you think. Jesus and John is the motherfucking gateway relationship, okay, to pedophilia. See? And then niggas will try to, because some people believe John was 6 months older or younger than Jesus. Some people believe he was 14. I tell you what, damn near every picture of John that you see, he looked like a motherfucking underage kid. Do this look like a grown ass man right here laying on motherfucking G? What you mean? So a grown ass man that convinced a little ass boy to leave his little girlfriend and follow him? Sound like Chris Hansen need to pop out of somewhere to me. Sound like they need to add a motherfucker. They got the New Testament, the Old Testament. Bitch, let me write the remix testament. Where we can add in the book of Hansen, where Chris Hansen pop out the the motherfucker from behind the door at the Last Supper and say, hey, Jesus, have a seat, nigga. I know you already sitting, but have another seat. Is this you? Is this you telling John? Is this you telling John? Is this you telling a 14-year-old boy to leave his girl and come follow you and be your Lord and Savior? Nigga, we got the motherfucking screenshots, Jesus. We got the screenshots, Jesus. The fuck going on? So this is where the Catholic Church get this shit from, y'all. This shit is all set up and manufactured by a group of people whose entire society was ruled by homosexuality on a political scale. See? Nobody about to play with y'all. And then y'all niggas be talking about Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. You got that one nigga on the internet talking about Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ.
All right.
Yeah,
that,
so
man.
I'm sure we're happy that that's over with.
Absolutely.
But so let's get into chopping up this fable, as Loaded Lux says, right?
Get the chop of this fable.
You know what I mean?
We need to get a soundbite on that. Let's get the chop of this fable.
All right. So the article that he was quoting from, right? It's called John the Evangelist, Beloved Disciple of Jesus. As I was looking for this article, what I found interesting is that this article is pretty much only can be found on gay Christian blogs, which of course leads you to think, why are you scouring gay Christian blogs in the first place? Right. I don't know.
You know what's funny? I know you're joking about that, but actually, and there's another segment to this video where he mentions like the gay blog that he was looking at, and he said something like, "Yeah, I be everywhere, y'all." Like he mentions the gay blog. He said, "Yeah, I be everywhere, y'all." Like, see, somebody can take that clip and make him sound real suspect.
Right, real suspect.
I mean? Right. They can take it. It sounds super suspect, but that's literally the equivalent to what he's doing to the New Testament text. Like he's taking it out of context and just putting a spin on it that is in no way reflective of the actual text and historical, this historical data that we have. Right. But yeah, go ahead.
So let's look at a portion of this article here. So actually, Adam, could you read this?
Man, I don't know, man. This is from a gay blog. I'm like trying to read that, man. I'm like trying to read.
You can put some sanitizer later on
right, like in my eyeballs. It's just like like right in the iris. You know what I mean? Right in the eyeball. All right, so John the Evangelist is commonly considered to be Jesus' beloved disciple, and quote, and possibly his lover. Now, this is from the article, y'all. This is from the article that he read, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I'll just clarify where this is coming from.
Yep.
And possibly his lover. His feast day is today, December 27th. The love between Jesus and John has been celebrated by artists since medieval times. And the idea that they were homosexual lovers has been causing controversy at least since the 16th century. Excuse me. John was an apostle of Jesus and is the presumed author of the Gospel of John, the Book of Revelation, and the Epistle of John. The Bible describes their warm relationship in depth. John left his life as a fisherman to follow Jesus, who nicknamed him Son of Thunder. John participated in many of the main events in Christ's ministry. He was one of the three who witnessed the raising of Jairus' daughter, the transfiguration, and Jesus' agony in Gethsemane.
Right. So, first of all, the article admits that this concept of there being some kind of suspect relationship between Jesus and John pretty much was started at least the 16th century.
Right.
So that's problematic, right? Because we know that the times of Jesus, in the Gospels are first century.
Somebody said something about that comedic lettuce factor. Tyler Lott, the comedic lettuce.
Comedic lettuce. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's crazy. But so
you're right though. I mean, here's the thing: if you're trying to critique Christianity, and your source doesn't go any further back than 16 centuries after Christianity was founded, then clearly you're not dealing with a historical record in any way that can be levied as a critique against Christianity proper. You know what I'm saying? Like you way out of pocket. Way out of pocket.
Absolutely.
You know, but you know what's interesting here too is that, you know, number one, it says, you know, John the Baptist is considered to be Jesus' beloved disciple, and that is true. That many people infer that, but it's actually undecided. I mean, that, you know, the times when that term is used, the beloved disciple, it's actually anonymous. We can't say with certainty, if you will, who it's referring to. But most people think that it's probably the case that it's John, and and it's not true that he was the only son of thunder. It was actually him as well, sons of thunder, which I think
but they purposely do that.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, so to me, when I see this, that's another thing. So let me just so it says here, John left his life as a fisherman to follow Jesus, who nicknamed him Son of Thunder. Now, to me, when I'm thinking about somebody who's really handling the text, like whether you're a Christian or not, if you're just handling the source correctly, you know that John himself as an individual wasn't just called Son of Thunder. It was the Sons of Thunder. It was James and John were the Sons of Thunder. But they're trying to make it exclusive to try to drive their point home about this special relationship.
Right.
You know,
he's the Son of Thunder. You know what I mean? Like some sexiness is
going on right there. But those are things you got to watch out for, though.
Right.
Those things you got to watch out for.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too. No, absolutely. All right. Adam, can you continue?
Yes, sir. You know, you gotta pay me back for reading this gay blog, bro. You know you owe me for this.
Put on my tab. Put on my tab.
Right. Phil Fox need to make a donation to my. Shout out to Phil Fox, man. The unnamed disciple whom Jesus loved is referenced 5 times in the Gospel of John, in John 13:23, 19:26, 20:22, 21:7, and 20. Church tradition identifies him as John himself. He reclined next to Jesus at the Last Supper, resting his head on Jesus' chest. He was the only male disciple present at the crucifixion. From the cross, Jesus entrusted the beloved disciple and his mother Mary into each other's care. There is even a medieval European tradition that John and Jesus were the bridal couple at the Cana wedding feast.
Right. So now the main thing that they hook into to prove their case for this erotic relationship between Jesus and John is the idea that, you know, it says here, he reclined next to Jesus at the Last Supper, resting his head on Jesus' chest. Now, we're going to see a lot of portraits and paintings of this particular event. And what a lot of these queer theologians, yes, there is such a thing, these queer theologians, these queer apologists, they really latch on to this particular verse as a proof text of this salacious relationship. Now, Adam, did you want to comment on this tradition on Jesus and John being at the bridal couple? Is that something you want to talk about, or?
Yeah, you know, actually, I wasn't going to go there. I mean, you know, again, I think Phil Fox is being funny. He gave like $1 as a super chat. that's bad funny. But no, I mean, we would have to go to the text. But the thing is, there's literally no indication in the text that Jesus was. Matter of fact, let me go there. Matter of fact, you want to go to your point, and I'll just come back to that. I'm gonna bring up the text.
Yeah, no, you could bring it up, bring the text if you want.
Okay. Because if you look at hold on, let me turn to Jesus. This is where Jesus turns the water into wine. You know what I mean? So let's go to John chapter 2. All right. Turn with me in your Bibles to John chapter 2.
Yes, Reverend Coleman.
Now, come on, man. Come on, fam. Listen to this, yo. John chapter 2. Hey, look, first verse. You know what I'm saying? Actually, we're going to focus in on the second verse. So I'll say second verse. Listen to this. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. Now, let me read that again. Let me help you out. You know what I'm saying? All right, so there's supposedly this tradition going back to, what is it, the 15th century or something like that? About
16th century. 16th
century. In terms of Jesus, basically it was the wedding between, John and Jesus. Listen to what it says. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. Now, if it's your wedding, how are you invited? What do you mean? It makes no sense to say you were invited
to your own wedding.
How are you invited to your own wedding, B? If it's your wedding, right? No, that's number one. Number two, like, fam, it's so like you can't even put into words how out of step, historically speaking, it would be to have two men getting married and a whole town of folks celebrating it.
In first century Judea.
First century, come on, fam. First century Judaism, really? That's so far out. You know what I'm saying? Of what we know about history. Now, this is another point, and then we can move on from here. But what real historians do when they're evaluating the historical data, right? It's kind of like a puzzle. When you have evidence for for certain things going on at that time, and you come across something else that conflicts with the evidence that you have about all these other things, then what historians do, they infer, like, you know what, we probably got something wrong on this new thing that we found. We probably misinterpreted that because it goes against everything that we know. And so unless you have super strong evidence that this new thing that you found, that you think you found, is indeed the case, even though it goes against everything you know about the historical area you're dealing with, unless you found great evidence for that, then you're going to conclude, you know what, actually, it's probably more likely that I misinterpreted this new piece of evidence.
Right.
So let me go.
Hold on, Adam, real quick. I want to just say special shout out to, I'm going to butcher your name, Slava Lekin, for the super chat. It's a cute little dog there in your avatar. Nice. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so so I was just saying that, I mean, again, we're trying to decode, if you will, how historians come to the conclusions that they do, because this helps, again, to get under the hood of some of these objections, so that if you run into it, you know how to respond. And the thing is, when historians come across a bit of information, let's say that they're digging around and our archaeologist finds a new papyrus, and it has information on it that goes against a whole bunch of data that they've already had about what's going on at that time that this papyrus is dated to, then what happens is, rather than say, oh, you know what, this one piece of evidence overturns everything else, typically we'll say, you know what, actually it's more likely that we've misinterpreted this new piece of evidence. Let's go back and take a look at it and see how things fit together. You know what I'm saying? They don't just say, oh, we got this one thing over here, we're just going to scrap everything else. And so likewise, this idea that, Jesus and, John were getting married at Canaan. I mean, obviously in the text, we just read it. I mean, it says that, they were invited to the wedding, number one. Right. But number two, like, that's so far out of, just out of the box. Not even out. I mean, let me find a different word. It's so far to the left of everything that we know to be factual about that era. It's super implausible. It's super unlikely that that's the right interpretation of what was going on at the time. I'm saying the idea that John and Jesus were getting married, super unlikely given what we know about first century Judaism. Right. But as somebody, again, he's just going off of pictures and what he read in like one book or what he read in a gay blog. You know what I mean? He's not dealing with historical information as somebody who's truly seeking truth and dealing with these things in an intellectual way. That's just reality of it.
No, that's facts. But, so let me continue. Now, this is the portion that he actually quotes in this video that we just saw. He says here, the idea that Jesus and his beloved disciple had a sexual relationship dates back at least to the early 16th century, when English playwright Christopher Marlowe was tried for blasphemy on the charge of claiming that, quote, St. John the Evangelist was bedfellow to Christ and leaned always in his bosom. You see that keeps reoccurring. That's their proof. Mm-hmm. That he used him as the sinners of Sodoma. In 1550, Francisco Colagano, a citizen of Venice, was investigated by the Inquisition for making the heretical claim that, quote, St. John was Christ's catamite, unquote, which means a boy or young man in a pederastic sexual relationship with an older man. But you see, they keep going back to that one thing. And we see a lot of portraits with that same theme, right? So here's one here. This is John the Apostle resting on the bosom of Christ. This is from early 14th century, right? And these are photos that were in this same article that I want to show you guys. So here's another one. Christus Johannes Gruppe, Christ John Group, by an unknown master of Obischwan, oak sculpture, 13.
Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan
1320. That not be Obi-Wan.
Right.
Here's a man. It looks like it is a stamp. This is a 1967 German stamp with
Stamp from the
Christ
first-
John group. Right. So again, John leaning on Jesus. Detailed Last Supper by the Small Passion by Albert Dürer. This is from 1511. All right. And this is St. John and Jesus at the Last Supper by Valentin de Bourgogne. Right. Yeah. So here's another one. One of the disciples whom Jesus loved by Ari Schaeffer. So there's a lot of these portraits of John reclining on Jesus' breast. And what these queer theologians do is they take this and they run with it. It's like, this is proof positive of this homoerotic relationship. There's another one, Christ the Bridegroom by Robert Lentz. This is 1985. It's a more recent portrait. All right. So before I get into this, anything you want to add to those? Any comments about those stamps and portraits and paintings?
No, I would just draw people to, their attention again to the timeline. I'm saying, when were those paintings made? You know what I'm saying? Clearly too far after the fact to be evidence for his case. But yeah, that's one of them.
Cool. So, and a reason why I also want to address this particular video, because it gives us, we get to have a teaching moment here, right? And when it comes to reading anything, and this is not just for biblical texts, but for any historical document, it's really important for you to understand the context in which these things were written in. So what we see is Pharaoh is smuggling in his current understanding of the culture of the very things that he's reading. And you can't do that. You have to take it for where it is. A book that you've heard me quote many times on the channel, How to Read the Bible for All It's Worth by Gordon D. Fee and Douglas Stewart. Amazing book. If you're really getting into your Bible studies and really want to dig deeper, I highly recommend this book. In this book, it says that the historical context, which will differ from book to book, has to do with several matters: the time and culture of the author and audience, that is, the geographical, topographical, and political factors that are relevant to the author's setting, and the historical occasion of the book, letter, psalm, prophetic oracle, or other genre. All such matters are especially important for understanding, right? So anytime you tackle an ancient text, you have to keep all these things in your head so that you can properly exegete that passage, that book, that poem, that proverb that you're reading. You want to say anything, Adam?
Well, no, actually, Amir Ashafra in the chat,
Yes.
I like the word he used. He says that he's basically reading it anachronistically. That's exactly right. I'm saying, when we're talking about anachronisms, you're basically taking something from one time period and either reading it back into the ancient world, or or something like that. So let's say, for example, you're reading a newspaper that you believe to be from 1920, right? And you're reading the newspaper, and then the reporter says that so-and-so picked up their cell phone, right? Now, if you believe this paper is from 1920, and then you read that so-and-so picked up their cell phone, then it's probably not an authentic newspaper from 1920, because you found an anachronism. You found something that doesn't fit within the time frame. And so likewise, what Young Pharaoh is doing is he's reading sentiments about what it means to lay on somebody's breast and so on and so forth. He's reading that back into the first century from his modern American, African American culture lens. I'm saying that's eisegesis. But yeah, go ahead.
All right. So it says here, if you allow the historical context to set the scene for you, the words on the page will become much more real and meaningful to you, because you will know why it was significant to its original audience. Understanding the historical context will allow you to garner new insights and therefore a deeper understanding. And here's a little chart here. Passage of scripture, you put it in its historical context and you will get new insights. Mm-hmm. And honestly, this is what Pharaoh needs to do. He needs to look at the various contexts of any passage of scripture so that he won't make the faux pas that he did. And I'm going to be charitable and say that he just doesn't know how to properly exegete. Okay, 'cause I don't know the man. I don't know his heart. I don't know his intent. He might really believe that what he's seeing is true, and he thinks he's helping people by showing what he's showing. So, but it's a lack of context.
And I would challenge him. I would say I think if we're going to be fair, the reality is, most of us out here don't know how to properly approach the text. I'm talking about most of us, as in like the broader community. There's all things that we can learn. There's always things that we can learn about how to to approach the biblical text correctly. And I'm not even talking about like as a believer or something like that. Just if you want to make a sound critique of something, I don't care what it is, you want to make sure that you're engaging that with the object of your critique in as honest a way as possible. So even if you don't believe the scriptures, okay, that's what that is. If you're going to be intellectually honest, then consider what we're saying. Like, I mean, because it's fair. A lot of people don't know how to really properly handle the text, and so he probably doesn't either. That's just reality. There's no shame in that. Right. But now that now that you've been made aware, the question is, are you going to continue to do what you've been doing, or are you at least going to make an honest effort to, if you're going to critique Christianity, critique it on the basis for what it is, not on the basis of just whatever you've been doing. Right.
Absolutely. So as you study, ask yourself questions like these. Who is the author of this passage and what is known about him? Who is the audience and what circumstances did they find themselves in? At what point in history were these people living? What was going on politically, economically, culturally, and religiously at the time? Question the text. We learned a lot of this, when we went to, elementary, context clues, who, what, why, where. And I've said this a lot, and I'm going to keep saying it because I think it's important. For some reason, we don't import our reading comprehension skills when it comes to the Bible. And that goes for believers as well.
And you know what? I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. And again, our objective is not to beat up on Young Pharaoh. We're really interested in seeking the truth. And I'm gonna say that for us believers, for those believers who may be watching this video, let that be a lesson to us. Because I think, quite frankly, the reason why some of this stuff happens is because we need to be on our job better. You know what I'm saying, in terms of how we're handling the text. You know what I'm saying? It's not just, like you said, it's not just unbelievers. This is something that we all really should be doing. Inquiring of the text, looking for these context clues and so forth. That's something that we could do better.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we need to look now at the cultural context of that particular line they love to quote so much. Why was John leaning on the chest of Jesus? Because in our modern day perspective, as men, it does look a little sus, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I love Adam, but you're not gonna catch me reclining on his breast.
Nah.
And even if I try, he's gonna punch me in the face and then ask for forgiveness later. You know what I mean?
So, yeah. Well, my wife will probably get you first, and then
there it is. I get punched twice. Excuse me. So, anyway, so let's get into it. So, when we think of the Last Supper, we often imagine Jesus and his disciples sitting around a modern table with upright dining chairs with their feet underneath the table. This is the scene portrayed by Leonardo da Vinci in his famous painting. However, Jews and Romans did not sit up at a table, but recline on couches or cushions around a low table. A Roman dining room was called a triclinium because it contained 3 couches set around a central table. The table was a low block with couches around it on 3 sides. There would be a single couch in the middle where the host would sit, and 1 couch to his left and 1 to his right, opposite each other. The side opposite the host will be left open for people to bring food to the table. All right, so now we're getting into the cultural context of table culture in the first century. Okay. All right, here we go. The couches would be covered by a cushion, or a cushion would be provided for the guests to lean on. Right? The guests approach the table from behind the couches, then recline on their left side, supporting their head on their left elbow, leaving their right hand free to take the food. A normal Roman triclinium would seat 9 people with 3 on each couch. For the Last Supper, there were 13 people present. Either they used larger couches or laid on cushions on the floor, or were closely squashed together as particular intimate friends. Their feet would stretch out behind them away from the table. This would make it quite easy for Jesus to go around and wash the disciples' feet without them having to move, and for Mary to come in and anoint Jesus' feet. Right. So that gives us a little bit more insight now, right? Because now we can see it in our heads. It's like, okay, they were laying basically on their side, their feet were sticking out. So Jesus just had to go behind the tables, and he had easy access to everybody's feet because the feet was sticking out. So now we know that too. So that's the little bonus context for you guys. Okay. Now, a man's head would be in line with the chest of the person reclining to his left, making it easy for that person to lean back and speak to the person on his left without anyone else hearing what is said. In John 13, some of the statements made by Jesus were heard by all 12 disciples, verse 21, while other statements were private, verse 26. So everybody is sitting and reclining, and because of the proximity, everybody was leaning on their left next to the person's chest that was to their left. It wasn't just John doing it.
Right.
They were all doing this. You know, let's continue. So,
and mind you, again, it wasn't just this group of people. Like all across that area of the world, this is how people ate.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't just a bunch of just being real. It wasn't just a bunch of gay dudes sitting around eating.
Right.
That's
what this is common table culture. What we're discussing.
Common table culture. Exactly.
From the account in John 13, it's possible to work out the sitting positions of the four people involved in the conversation: Jesus, John, Peter, and Judas. At the Last Supper, Jesus was the host of the meal, so reclined at the head of the table in the middle of the center couch. John, the beloved disciple, would be immediately to the right of Jesus, so his head would be level with the chest of Jesus. Right? John would then be able to lean back and whisper to Jesus without the others hearing. The Greek text used the words falling back on the breast of Jesus. This is from Reclining at Table at the Last Supper by Julian Springs, M.A. So here's a crude drawing of how it looked. So you see John would be reclining on Jesus, but guess what? Jesus would be reclining on Judas. Right? So it wasn't just John was the only one reclining. Everybody reclined on the person to their left.
To the left, right.
Because that's how you ate in the first century. Here's a better graphic right here. You see, they're reclining in the Roman trilenium. You know, you got the host family, high status guests, and low status guests. You know, and based on what we're reading, that one of the high status guests, which is actually another thing that's interesting, Judas
high
status in the eating table.
That's interesting,
right? All right, let's keep going. Right now, here's an angled cement bed with the mattress missing in the trilenium of the house of the Coterperius Pompey. So this is an actual trilenium. Like they did, you know, through their archaeological digs, they found this. This is how it looked.
Wow.
This is how one of these things would look. Of course, it's not.
We don't have to speculate. We can actually see it.
We can actually see it. That's how they got down. He wasn't sitting at, you know, Burger King or Roy Rogers. No, that's not what they did. Like they were.
Whoa, he said Roy Rogers?
I don't know. Do they still have Roy Rogers? I don't even know.
I know of one. That may still. I think it still exists. Yeah,
I did it myself. So
that was anachronism right there, man.
There you go. So here's a picture, right? There's a more modern depiction, but you get the drift. You see how everybody's leaning. Everybody's feet is sticking out from under them, right? So just to give you more of a visual, here's another one here. There's ladies' night. You know what I mean? All the ladies are hanging out, but you see how they're reclining, you know, feet sticking out. In the middle, you can have all the food right there, easy access, right? Here's a more modern version, right? A recreation of the layout of Roman dining beds using yoga mats and cushions. These quote-unquote beds were lacking legs to raise them off the floor. Villa Docents, Donald Peterson, Monica Wolf, each reclined on the host bed, left lectus emus. Docents, Eli Rosen, and Lou Rosen reclined with me on the honorable guest bed, middle lectus medius. And docents, Janine Daham and Karen Taylor make do with the lowest status bed, right lectus summus. So this is more of a modern take on, you know, how they would have ate in those days. Right. So So that's the culture. That was the culture. You lean on your left side. You kept your right hand free because this is where you get the food and where you eat. And then when you want to talk to the person next to you, they're already to your left, so you just recline back and say what you had to say.
Now this opens up an interesting conversation, right? Because so now and this is not, I'm trying to think of how to phrase it, but like when you're involved in stuff like this, when you're trying to study and teach, right? Particularly, I'm not a professional historian or whatever, so for me, when I get up here and teach stuff, I've got to do my extra, due diligence to make sure that I'm giving people accurate information. You know what I'm saying? Like that you want to make sure you dot your I's and cross all your T's. Now, what's interesting is if I come across a source, I mean, you think about the sources that he's appealing to, they're trying to make a case about, John leaning on the bosom of Jesus. And certainly, anybody who's dealing with this stuff responsibly, who is supposed to be a historian or whatever, certainly, they should be aware of first century table culture. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't make any sense for somebody to be making a case about John and Jesus, John leaning on the bosom of Jesus, when that would have been the case for everybody across the whole Roman world. You know what I mean? But if you find something like that, this is where I'm getting to. If you find a source that's making a claim that based upon what the history, the historical data shows that this source is like way out of left field, that's a red flag that you probably don't have a source that you really that's reliable. You know what I'm saying? Now, you may have thought that when you first picked up that article or bought that book, you might have thought that, hey, this might be something I can learn something from. But once you start seeing these egregious historical errors, that should say something to you. Like, you know what? Actually, this source is not reliable. And this is something that we see on all the time when we're dealing with guys like Young Pharaoh or just people in general online. It's just an inability to assess or differentiate between reliable sources and unreliable sources. But this is one of the ways that you do that. And another thing too, I would want to see the bibliography for the sources that he's quoted. I would want to see like which sources are they appealing to, because if they're not taking into account what you just said about Roman and Jewish etiquette, table etiquette at that time, if I'm not seeing sources about that in their bibliography and they're not engaging it in as they're making their argument, then that tells me they're not responsibly dealing with this stuff either. And I need to look elsewhere because this is not a reliable source. Just because something's in a book, just because something's in an article, or just because it's some theologian, historian makes an argument, you know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't substantiate your case. You know what I'm saying? You want to look at the argumentation, look at the evidence, and challenge this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, think critically. Don't just accept it just because it's in a book. You know what I mean? Be like, oh, cool, it's in a book. Cool. Let me just read it and call it a day. Made my case.
And it's not just Young Pharaoh. There's a whole segment of gay apologists,
right,
who do the same thing. They read into the passage something that was never there. It wasn't just John reclining. Everybody reclining on the person on the left, because that's how you ate.
That's how you ate.
That's how you ate.
But see, again,
yeah.
When you're that wrong, right, and you're clearly that wrong, you know what I'm saying? Then now, if I know that you're just way off base, now I've got to start investigating what is it that's causing you to ignore the vast majority of the evidence. I'm saying now I've got to look to other motivation, because I know you're not dealing with history now. So there must be some other motivation. And obviously, if you're dealing with gay, apologists, whatever they would call themselves, theologians, historians, whatever, clearly they're trying to make a case for their lifestyle. That's obviously crept into how they're interpreting biblical and historical data at that point, right? So, I mean, those are kind of red flags you got to watch out for.
Right. And that's it. I mean, but again, the importance of context. It's such a broken record for many of us in the UA. We're always screaming context, but it's true.
It's true.
So much can be course corrected if people took the time out and really think about, the cultural context. Tyler's funny. You're being messy, Tyler. Stop it.
I want to make one other quick point, if I could, this along those lines. I'm going to share my screen right quick.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Let me share my screen.
Go for it.
And it's really along the same lines, like you said, just so the ignoring of table etiquette is a glaring omission on the part of the sources that he's appealing to. that should indicate to somebody who's dealing with this honestly that, hey, this is an unreliable source. That's what should be. Those are the bells and whistles that should be going off in his mind. They just totally missed this point. And so there's something that I shouldn't be taking these people seriously. But,
right.
Likewise, let's talk about, linguistically, let's talk about, let's get into the language a little bit. Now this is on a Word document. I figure it'd probably be easier to see here.
Sure. Let's go
see
for
that?
it. Yes.
All right. So, the disciple that Jesus loved. Let's talk about that word love, right? Because in the English, you use that. I could say I love my wife, and I could say I love ice cream. I'm saying I love, Pepsi Cola or whatever. Like, obviously I don't mean love in the same way about ice cream that I do my wife, right? And if I do, there's something wrong with me. You know what I mean? There's different senses that the word love is used, and we find that captured, that same concept, the flexibility of that word love is also captured in the Greek. You know what I'm saying, but there's different words used to communicate that are interpreted in our English versions as love, but they're captured by different words. So agape is going to be one. I'm saying typically we understand that as being like the God kind of love. You know what I mean? That's how it's typically rendered anyway. I guess maybe it's a popular way of putting it. Phileo, refers to like brotherly love. When you think of like Philadelphia,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Brotherly love. And then eros, is where you get the word like erotic from. I'm saying eros, that's going to be like your intimate, sexual, that kind of love, right? Now, when we were talking about the book of John, remember you read that there's different passages where he uses this phrase, the disciple that Jesus loved, right? And in each of those passages, John 13, the word love there in the Greek is agape, not eros. You know what I'm saying? The word in John 19:26 is agape, not eros. You guys can go and look it up in the Strongs right now if you want to. You're saying matter of fact, if you want to fact check me right now, go to BibleHub.com, click the lexicon button, or you can click the Greek button, and it'll take you to like a comparison where you'll see the Greek word next to the English word. You know what I'm saying? You can look it up. But the word there in John 19:26 is agape, not eros. The word in John chapter 20, verse 2 is phileo, not eros. John chapter 21, verse 7. I think that one's agape. Yep, that's agape. And then in 21:20, it's agape, right? So in all of the instances that we see here where the term the disciple that Jesus loved is mentioned, that love there is not eros, which would be the romantic, sexual, intimate kind of love. That word eros is not used. I'm saying they had words to describe
right
what people are trying to say about Jesus and John. They had words for that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it would have been actually in the Greek, it would have been like, I think it's pederastai, as a matter of fact, if they wanted to be real specific. You know what I'm saying? But if you're going to say that it was some sort of love relationship in an intimate sense, they could have used love. They could have used eros, excuse me. You know what I'm saying? But they don't. Right. And so there's no textual reason. You know what I'm saying? Just in the text itself, there's no textual reason to presume that there's some sort of intimate sexual relationship between Jesus and John.
So what you're saying, there's heavy conjecture going on. That's basically what you're saying.
Heavy conjecture. You know what I mean? And this is why it's so important, because linguistically, we've got a good reason to believe that, when it refers to the disciple that Jesus loved, it's talking about like in a brotherly or, some sort of, certainly in a non-sexual way. There's no textual reason why you're going to take that in the sexual direction. Right. And likewise with the historical evidence that you gave, we're thinking about the historical, cultural context, yet again, you don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to making a case that there's some sort of intimate relationship going on. So going back to these sources that he's referring to, one would have to ask, you know what I'm saying? Like, clearly there's something missing here. That again should ring a bell. The bells and whistles should be going off and sound the alarm. You know what? Linguistically, these cats is off. Historically, these cats is off. I probably don't have a reliable source here. But, evidently, your brother, your boy don't really know that. Your boy's not catching that, obviously.
I like it, Phil Fox. Heavy C in the boys. Word. Context, baby.
Right.
Or you mean conjecture? I don't know what you're talking about. Either way.
Heavy conjecture.
Heavy conjecture. So, but yeah, man, we just wanted to take this time out to really address that, because he's not the only one.
Proverbial life, man. That's what's up. Shout out to the proverbial.
Yeah. No doubt. He's not the only one that thinks this way. That's not the only video you're going to find on YouTube addressing Jesus as some kind of homosexual pedophile, right? But and it's funny, right? They use that one sentence to develop this apologetic for a queer Messiah.
Right.
And it's like we just said right now, based on historical, cultural, textual context, you can't make that argument. You literally have to make it out of thin air. Like literally.
Out of thin air, right.
Right? Or I guess you look at a bunch of portraits with homeboy reclining on Jesus, and they're like, aha, you see? I'm like, that's not that's not scholarship.
That's not scholarship. And you know, I'm gonna throw out another point too, because it was mentioned. I think it was in the article that was mentioned. I don't know if he said it or if it was. I think it was reading the article where it talks about how Jesus entrusted Mary to John to take care of her, right? And they're trying to claim that that's somehow the exotic matter, right. But you know, they're trying to claim that, okay, well, Jesus entrusts John with his mother, so they must have had some sort of special relationship. No, let's keep in mind, Jesus was a keeper of the law, right? You know what I'm saying? Like that, you know, during his earthly ministry, he kept the law, right? Which obviously was exemplary, that he was a fit sacrifice for when he went to the cross. You know what I'm saying? Like he had to keep the law under the old covenant. Now, under the old covenant law, you know, all throughout that, you have these passages, you know, like honor your father and your mother. You mean, you know, take care of the widows and so on and so forth. Right. And so a responsible historian will say, you know what would be some of the social pressures or the social, you know, realities that would prompt Jesus to make sure that his mother was taken care of? Well, at the time, if you were a widower, I'm saying, so for example, if Joseph is dead at this point, right, and maybe the brothers are incapable of taking care of her, then in honoring his mother, Jesus would see to it that somebody after he's gone can take care of her.
Right.
Very simple explanation, right?
And the fact that he's taking care of that while he's dying a most atrocious death is
atrocious, right?
You know, amazing.
Yeah, you can preach off that for real, you know. But again, so now we've got two explanations. Okay, either Jesus was acting in keeping with what we know about first century Judaism. You know what I'm saying, well, I'll say in terms of honoring that father and that mother, caring for widows, all these things that were all throughout the law. Either Jesus was acting in keeping with that, which would be consistent with what we know about the Jews, or there was some sort of homosexual relationship which doesn't fit historically, linguistically, culturally, and so forth. You know what I'm saying? So you get like if you weigh out those two explanations, you know what I'm saying, you're not going to opt for the one that's less plausible, i.e. that Jesus was gay and so was John. Right. You're not going to go for that one because it's far less plausible. And seriously, this is how historians think. They say, you know, they're going to look at explanations and they want to know which explanation accounts for the data more effectively. You know what I'm saying? And if we don't have to take the leap of, you know, John being, you know, this altar boy. We don't have to take that logical, historical, linguistic leap. We can explain Jesus' actions simply by appealing to the cultural expectations of the time. The reason why he turned over his mother to John is because in that culture, at that time, all throughout the Hebrew scriptures, honoring one's mother, caring for widows, I'm saying that was something that was just drilled into them. You know what I'm saying, as being a virtuous thing to do. And Jesus exemplified that, even as, like you said, he's on the cross paying the most heinous penalty for our sin.
And once again, context, right? So with that being said, Adam, what are you developing in the immediate future that we should be aware of?
Yeah, man. I'm working on a couple different things. I'm actually looking at a couple articles. I've been really, you know, wanting to get back to doing some writing. And so I've got a blog site that I've established like 2 years ago, and I need to, you know, pay more attention to it. I haven't really been posting like I should. But you know, so you can expect some blogs coming out, man. I'm actually going to get back to my pen.
Actually, speaking of writing, you have contributed to an amazing book that's dropping in about a month or so. Why don't you talk to people about that?
Yeah, you know, it's wild.
It's big, bro. It's big.
So surreal. I sometimes I forget, to be honest with you, you know, but yeah, certainly shout out to, you know, Bishop Pastor Eric Mason for you know, spearheading this project. But we do have the Urban Apologetics book coming out, you know what I'm saying, defending the Black dignity with the gospel. You know what I'm saying? Or restoring Black dignity with the gospel. And there's a list of contributors. I mean, you got Eric Mason, who's the editor, and he also wrote some chapters. Jerome Gay, Sarita Lyons, Damon Richardson. I mean, we got Zion McGregor, Doug Rogan. Was that
Bantu? He's in there?
Oh, of course. Yeah, you already know. Yeah, Bantu, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just a list of heavy hitters, and I was privileged to be in that number, man. You know, I'm very thankful. I wrote a chapter. Well, no, technically I wrote 2 chapters. I mean, I wrote the frequently asked questions section that will probably be used on the website and used for like promotional content. But I also wrote a chapter that's going to be in the book on Black atheism, you know, atheism in the African American context, and I'm really excited about it, y'all. I mean, you know, it's some stuff in that chapter that I haven't really spoken about a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been waiting for the book to drop, you know what I mean? So that it could be like officially published before I put it out there. But it's some stuff that I put in that chapter that I'm really excited about. It's some original.
And you can pre-order it now. It's on Amazon.com.
Right now. It's
pre-order. I definitely did that the minute.
Yeah, no disrespect.
It's on Zondervan too. Like this is that's why this is huge, guys. This is really big.
You know, we're not putting out a coloring book. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like this is official. This is a big deal. And in all seriousness, you know, I know I'm joking around, but in all seriousness, y'all definitely be in prayer for this project because, you know, God has brought this thing together, man. I mean, I've been privy to, you know, obviously I wrote my chapter, but I've been a part of it along the way. And I'm telling you, this right here is going to be a game changer. You know what I'm saying? I really believe that God is going to move and touch people and draw people to him through this book. I'm confident of that. And I'm believing that God's going to do something powerful. So, you know, be in prayer as it comes out for us to be able to really push it. I believe that I think Mason is in talks now in terms of just, you know, planning and how they're going to roll the book out and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, April 2021, I want to say April 6th, I believe. So just about, you know, a couple months, man, you know, we're going to be launching that thing out, man. So it's going to be pretty awesome.
And a much bigger target will be placed on your back, sir. So be prepared for that as well.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I don't need that, but you know, but seriously, man, I mean, you know, I think that, and I know we're getting ready to get off here, but seriously, I'm excited because I feel like this book really represents what urban apologetics has to offer. You know what I'm saying? God has blessed me. I'm kind of like getting a little choked up, but yeah, God has blessed me to be able to, there we go. April 6th, according to Amazon, and, you know, Nate 2D2, the omniscient one. But nah, man, you know, God has been good. God has blessed me, you know, with the opportunity to you know, meet a lot of people and just not just urban apologetics, but the apologetics world in general. And I can't tell you how needed this is. Matter of fact, do you mind if I tell a quick story right quick?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
I don't think you would mind me telling the story. I don't believe you would, but I want to say maybe, I guess it's probably been about 6 or so years ago now. I had the opportunity to meet William Lane Craig, you know. Now, mind you, at this time, I don't think I hadn't launched the True ID podcast yet. You know, I was serious about apologetics, and you know, had an opportunity with my man John McCrae and Cameron Bertuzzi, and a host of others. You know, we had you know, William Lane Craig. They catered a lunch for us, and we got a chance to sit down and eat with them.
Hold on, Adam. Yeah, one of many. Yeah, we're trying to figure that out now. But you know, there's so many superstars in that book. It's kind of hard to triangulate everybody's schedule, but we're working on that, sir. We're working on that. Yeah. My
fault, man. I'll make this quick, but it's just so anyway. You know, they catered lunch for us and whatever. And quite frankly, you know, at that time, I wasn't really aware of, like, you know, the Jude 3s and Bantus and stuff like that. I didn't know anybody who was doing urban apologetics at that time. And so I go into this, you know, meeting and luncheon with William Lane Craig, and I was trying to just put a bug in his ear. Hey, like, you know, we need apologetics, you know what I'm saying, out here in the African American community, and not expecting him to kind of, you know, become like an urban apologist or something like that. You know what I mean? But I was just trying to put it out there, you know what I mean? Because, you know, that's something that was a need that I felt that in the broader apologetics context was not being, people were not aware of. And it's funny, I'll never forget, like, you know, I say, hey, you know, I was just kind of throwing it out there. And he was like, well, I don't know how to reach African Americans with apologetics. Like, he was just kind of like, just kind of like, you know, he just flabbergasted, you know, not that he was upset, but he just, man, I don't even know where to start. That was kind of like his response. And I was like, you know, I'm not asking you to do it. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, Calvary saved the day, but I just said that to say that from then till now, it's just amazing to see how things are different, man. Like we got podcasts, we got, you know, YouTube channels, we got the Bodega Ladies, we got, you know, Bantu, Damon, Isaiah, Mason, you know, Faithful to God, we got Matt Jackson, SOC, D New, you know, Phil Fox. We got all these people. We didn't know each other like maybe even 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
And now we're putting out a book. Like kind of the fruit of all that. The fruit of this new movement is this work that's coming forth, you know, on a major publisher. It doesn't really get any more major than Zondervan. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really a testament to how God has been faithful. It's not about us. It's not about, you know, the fact, you know, we work so hard. No. This is about the faithfulness of God who is true. You know, shout out to Vader, definitely. You know what I'm saying? It's about the faithfulness of God who has been true to his word and desire to see people saved and willing to work through our community to do that, man. So I'm just excited, man. I'm excited, man. It's gonna be
as well as you should, man. That's a major thing. I mean, you've been working up to this point, you know, God has been getting you ready for this, you know, and I just think that, you know, it really is going to be a game changer. There's going to be a lot of blowback.
Sure.
You know, all the contributors of the book, I hope, are armored up because the critiques are gonna come, you know.
Yeah, well, hey man, I'm telling you, brother, man, you know, the bar is high, bro. we really, you know, it's kind of like a couple years ago, you know, when Kendrick Lamar had that verse on Control,
mm-hmm.
and it's like, if you're gonna call all these people out, you gotta set that bar high. You gotta spit a verse where somebody's gonna come for you. They're gonna have to jump. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what this is with his urban apologetics book, man. Like Mason is not playing in the chapter that he wrote. David Richardson is not playing with y'all. And what he wrote, Bantu is not playing. You know what I'm saying? Like Sarita Lyons is not playing. Like, yo, I'm telling you, you know, when this book drops, man, there's some content in there, bro, that is just game changer material, man. I'm excited about it, man.
Nice. Absolutely. And so for me this week, I mean, outside of my birthday, on Thursday, I'll be
5 hour live on your birthday, man. You gonna do a
well, I don't know. Who knows? But
you eat stuff and hanging out.
On the day after, though, on June 14th, on that Thursday, I'll be getting together with CMB and the Bodega Ladies, where we're going to talk about Azazel, the investigative judgment, and the goats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna tackle that, okay. And then
okay,
you know what I mean. And then on Friday, the Bodega Bible Talk will return this Friday at 9 p.m.
The Jedi's, right?
That's right. So we're gonna get into that. And then on January 28th, I have Dr. Christopher Hayes, where we'll be talking about the covenant with Mut, a new interpretation of Isaiah 28, a very familiar proof text if you've ever dealt with the Hebrew Israelites.
Sure.
And he's going to just give again context to that passage. In fact, context that a lot of us are not even aware of. It's going to be so mind blowing. And then January 21st, I'm going to have Carmen Imes. A lot of us know her from her Torah Tuesdays on her YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And we'll be discussing how important is the Tanakh to the Christian. Mm-hmm. And on January 26th, I'll be with my good friend, Egyptologist Dr. David Folk. And we will be discussing, does the Bible come from the Book of the Dead, the Perep Emheru coming forth by day? So that's what's coming down the pipe for me. So
you got some stuff, bro. You're not playing.
Keep up with you. You guys brought in books, and I gotta do something.
You're doing it, man. You're doing it, bro. For real, man. That's dope. That's dope.
I appreciate that. So with that, man, any last words, Adam, before we sign off?
Just be safe out there, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's we got to be careful. We got to be careful. A lot of things going on in society. Keep your head on the swivel. Be prayerful. And just watch out, y'all. You know, we live in some serious times, and you know, we don't want to give the enemy occasion to get one over on us. So, you know, y'all just be safe out there.
Amen. And from Adam Coleman and BK Apologist, catch you on the flip side. Peace.